is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Marcel, how you doing, man?
You know, always something out here in Dolphins world. Busy little morning here. I'm sure, as people are well aware of in the chat, Dolphins just hired their new offensive coordinator. So, duty calls. I had to do a little bit of background on our guy here, but other than that, man, it's another day in paradise.
So what have you learned about Frank Smith?
You know, it's a guy who hasn't necessarily been in the league for a long time. You know, he was assistant tight ends or assistant offensive line coach in New Orleans starting in 2010. Spent some time with the Bears, with the Raiders, coaching tight ends, run game coordinator there, and offensive line coach with the Chargers. He's a guy who's known to, as I think Tom Pelissero reported, he is known to develop offensive linemen and develop tight ends. Obviously, this means I think this is the official end of the George Godsey era, who was the co-offensive coordinator and tight end coach. This is a big replacement for him. I've got a source who's also telling me they expect Eric Stoodsville not to return to the staff. Of course, he was the running back coach and co-offensive coordinator. Nothing has changed as far as Mike McDaniel calling plays. From my understanding of it and my conversations with Mike Daniel, I forget, I don't have to be coy here. My conversation with Mike McDaniel, Frank Smith will work in conjunction with him. McDaniel is still going to be calling plays. And then wide receivers coach Wes Welker is going to, I don't know if he's going to get the official title of pass game coordinator, but he is going to be helping in the development of their weekly passing game plan. I'm also told that last year's wide receivers coach, Josh Grizzard, is going to be staying on staff in an assistant role, an assistant coach role. I believe assistant receivers is my understanding of it. So the staff is starting to come together. The chain of command, I don't want to call it the chain of command, but let's call it the process of collaboration is starting to come together. And, again, this is now we're finally getting into that point in the season where we've got some tangible things to talk about. No speculation, no, well, okay, if they go after it. No, like this staff is coming together. We got the combine coming up pretty quickly here. Matter of fact, I know that McDaniel's in there working after we spoke on Friday. I asked him, hey, are you going back and forth from California? Because we're joking about the housing market down here, how hard it is to find somewhere to live. And he said that no, absolutely not, man. I am here right now. Like there's no bounce back, there's no ramp up. This guy is in that office grinding. So now things are really starting to come together. They can start working on roster evaluation and self-scouting. They can work on actual scouting and getting this new crop of players looked at in preparation for the combine at the end of this month. That's coming up, rapidly. You got to have a full staff in place by the time you get up there. So there's a lot to do right now for Mike McDaniel, but he's not really wasting any time in getting this staff together.
All right, Marcel Louis-Jacques joining us. Remember, you can follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Marcel, they're running a zone blocking scheme. So Matt Applebaum obviously must be teaching that. Frank Smith also must be teaching that. So these elements, they must be, used to teaching these kind of elements that McDaniel needs on this offense, because he has said it himself. He's coached the same scheme for 15 years in 6 different teams, so he's not changing.
I wouldn't say, he's not necessarily changing, but I don't think he's coming in here. And we spoke a little bit about this, I think, on Thursday. He's not necessarily coming in here and bogarting his scheme. I think he meant what he said, and he confirmed that to me on Friday, that this offense, this defense, it will be tailored around the players that they have. If they don't have the guys to run what he wants, then he will figure out what they can run. not unlike what Super Bowl winning head coach Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Kyle Shanahan did in Washington when they drafted RG3. None of them knew necessarily how to coach a player like that. And, they didn't necessarily have that experience, but they said, okay, this guy is not tailored to what we do. We need to tailor what we do to him. So I would expect to see an offense that highlights this offensive line strength, whatever it looks like after free agency, because it ain't going to be this. It's not. There's no way on God's green earth that these 5 offensive linemen are all going to be starting without something pretty drastically going wrong. But I think he's legitimately going to tailor to what they've got.
But the blocking scheme is going to be what it is. They're not going to go man on man all of a sudden. This is what because that's what the running game goes behind with that kind of scheme. So he is going to, I understand what you're saying, because he talked about it, that you've got to tailor your offense to the talent that you have. So obviously in this first year, he may not be able to pick up all the exact pieces he needs to run every kind of element in his offense. But on the blocking side, I would imagine that that's where they're going to work to, that they're going to find the linemen that fit that kind of scheme from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the strength of the Mike McDaniel run game. That's what makes San Francisco's run fits look so exciting last year. When you see Deebo Samuel in space, when you see Elijah Mitchell in space, you're also seeing creative blocking downfield. You're seeing him manufacture areas for his ball carriers, for his playmakers to run, and then trusting them to get the job done after that. So that's what makes Jalen Waddle's 2022 season so enticing. And from a fantasy standpoint, especially, I think he's going to be one of the. I mean, he might be overdrafted. People might look at him as the next Deebo, but I think his production is going to skyrocket in year 2 based on what McDaniel's been telling us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nothing like Deebo, because he's not. They're completely 2 different players. He can't do anything that Deebo does, because Deebo's a physical guy. I mean, Deebo searches out for contact. That's not really what I want from certain guys on this team. But there's no doubt that Waddle, what I think this scheme will do is and the play design, which I think the play design was pretty much dog crap this year. I think the play design is really everything. And I think you're going to see Waddle getting bigger plays in this offense, bigger lanes to create plays out there because of the way things hopefully will be designed. And hopefully, as we see with other offenses, if the running game's a threat, then that changes the dynamics of everything that you do on defense.
Agreed. And we'll see how they attack the running back position. I wrote a couple weeks ago that Duke Johnson should get that first he should get the first look. He did enough at the end of the season to prove that maybe he was typecast as a 3rd down back earlier in his career. That he's got the moxie to be a 3-down back. I don't think that he was good enough to stop them from drafting a guy on day 2 if there is a day 2 talent available. I don't want them reaching for somebody just to say that they took a running back. But if a Kenneth Walker or Brisset Hall, these kind of guys, maybe even Isaiah Spiller, although I would prefer somebody who's got a little more wiggle than Spiller. But I'm very early on in my draft prep. Now that the season is over, we can really dive into that. But I don't think it should stop them from adding talent at that position. I think I saw Bleacher Report say something about Leonard Fournette coming in. I take Bleacher Report stuff with a grain of salt. It's not necessarily something that's being really reported. It's just all speculation. But, I think that an influx of talent would probably be helpful there, because as currently constructed, the line, everybody wants to blame the offensive line for their run game issues. The offensive line was the 9th best run blocking unit in the NFL last year. It wasn't necessarily all the line's fault. At some point, you've got to make somebody miss. You've got to break a tackle. You've got to be able to hit a hole. And the Dolphins running backs didn't necessarily excel in that area.
I think there's a lot of issues there, a lot of layers to those problems. One, for the linemen, I think some of them struggled. And, we were just talking about this a little while ago with Austin Jackson. Like, when players lose confidence, you wonder, can they get it back? And I think that's the problem with a lot of the guys on this team on offense, on the O-line and the running backs. Because you think about it, you keep running into a line with no holes, it gets frustrating for running backs. For linemen, you keep failing at whatever pass protection or run protection or whatever. It gnaws at you, it eats at you. And the fact that they did not have, team success, that's going to be interesting to see the reconstruction mentally of some of these players on offense because of all the things that they've gone through over the last 2 years. Duke and Lindsey come in, they didn't have to carry that burden. So they were kind of refreshed because they weren't dealing with this line down in and down out, week in and week out for 2 years and all that. So I think that that's kind of the issue. That's going to be very interesting to see, if you can avoid the Rick Ankiels and the Chuck Knoblaws of the world. I don't know if you follow baseball, but, guys like that went from one day to another. All of a sudden, one guy couldn't throw to first base anymore. And you're like, what the hell is wrong with you? And, they call it the yips or whatever. And so you wonder if there were some of the yips going on with these old linemen and the running backs too, because there's no way either party had confidence in the other, confidence in the coaching staff to get anything done. So it's hard to have the proper synergy that you would like emotionally and physically between those groups.
And see, this is where hiring an offensive guru, an offensive specialist like McDaniel will, in a perfect world, alleviate those concerns. When if you got the yips, if your confidence is down, here's a guy that's saying, okay, like, you're not a bad player, you're being used the wrong way. Here's how you should be used. Here's the position that you should be put in. Here's what we're going to ask you to do compared to what you've been asked to do in the past. Here's why it will work. And that's on McDaniel there as a motivator, I guess that we can say. There's more to head coaching. There's more to being a head coach than being X's and O's. You know what I mean? Like, there's more than just knowing the game. You have to know people. And by all accounts, by everything that I'm told, everything that I've heard, and from just a literal one-on-one time with the guy for 30, 40 minutes, I think he's more of a people person than he gets credit for. I think that, like, we see these snippets or before the hire, we saw these snippets of him, cracking jokes and being fun and in Zoom calls. And I think that maybe that created an expectation that that's what he's going to do 100% of the time. And, that's not necessarily, I don't know if that's necessarily the person he is. I don't know if he's just going to be.
Well, I think he also has to get to know you guys too. Like, that was an introductory one. So once he's dealing with you for a couple of months, then the force field goes down, and then maybe he uses that dry humor on you and all that stuff, and you guys are going to appreciate it, dude. You guys are going to appreciate it. It is a dry humor. Bro. Yeah, but you're going to appreciate it.
He's genuine.
You get to cover a human being now, dude. He's going to give you, dude. He gave you more in that press conference than you got all from Flo in a year.
It's definitely, with all due respect to Flores, it's a different feel for sure. This was also more FaceTime than I've already, in 3 days than I've had with Flo in a full season. I'm sure things were different before COVID, but it was for me personally, I never really got a chance to just sit down and meet Brian Flores. I never got a chance to say, hey, I'm Marcel Louis-Jacques. Yeah, I'm here from Buffalo. I'm XYZ. Like, it was just like one day I was just in the media room and asking him questions, and then that was that. It never really materialized beyond that. And which was kind of, I don't know, it felt kind of weird. When I was in Buffalo, after our first press conference, I got to stand and chat with Sean McDermott for a second. not anything substantial, but just to establish, hey, you're going to be seeing a lot of me moving forward. This is who I am. With Ron Rivera in Carolina, after my first press conference, they called me to the back hallway. We got to chat for a second and never got that opportunity with Brian Flores. So I don't necessarily feel like I know him very well at all outside of that press conference setting. That's already not the case with Mike McDaniel. I feel like that, we got to do a little chat with him after the press conference. Obviously, sat down with him the next day. He's a good. I think he's a good dude, man. I think this is going to be a different feel from a media perspective and from a fan perspective. I think you're going to get a little bit more out of McDaniel's press conferences. He's the kind of guy that wants to explain and he wants to teach. So I think as long as he has the time, he's going to make the most of it.
All right, final two questions. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
You know what, man? I'll say it. It was kind of a boring game itself.
The second half, right? The second half kind of. The first half wasn't bad, but I'm with you. The second half was kind of lame. You're right.
I was like, toward the end of it, especially after the halftime show, excellent halftime show. And then we start.
Why you have to ruin why you have to ruin my second question, bro? Why you got to do that?
Because, man, that's just being a good interviewee. Intuition, knowing what's coming. But after that bomb to T. Higgins, and I got up and danced. I thought my MVP pick was locked. But I toward the end of the game, I was like, all right, I'm ready to watch Euphoria now. Like this is kind of and that's Super Bowls for you, right? Like you talking about the two best teams in the NFL. Like it's not always going to be some like high scoring slugfest. You're not always going to get.
But we kind of knew that D line for the Rams was going to give them the edge, right? I mean, when it was all said and done, right?
My favorite part of that was afterward, Quentin Spain, who I do like as a person, and I used to cover in Buffalo. Little bit of a trash talker, but after the game, tweets out like, "Oh, they didn't do nothing to me all game. Like I know y'all were waiting on me to fail." I was like, "Hold on, big fella. We saw you get beat by Aaron Donald in 4K on that last play. Right. maybe put the phone away for it. Like delete the app for a second. Like it's not going to be fun for you anytime soon. But don't come up here and say that like you didn't allow anything all day like that. He whooped you. But it's Aaron Donald. Nobody's going to blame you for that.
I mean, can't blame him for that, dude. All right, so you're a youngin'. So you've only seen a certain amount of halftimes. Where does this rank?
This was, a good friend of mine posted this, and I'm gonna take it. I don't know if I can definitively call it the best halftime show ever, because that feels like being caught up in the moment. But I know that was my favorite halftime show ever.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
it was of the last few years, it might be one of the best ones, actually. Might be.
It was the only show where I knew every song. I knew the words to every song.
Okay.
Like, it felt like it just felt so organic, man. Like the set was cool. Paid homage to South Central LA. They even had the Tam Burger spot up on the set. Like it was just an incredible experience to watch. The memes afterwards were funny. Like it just felt like a party there, like in the living room watching it. And then like the game comes back on, and it was like, oh yeah, damn, we gotta watch football again.
Yeah, I'm with it. I loved it. The only knock I would have had on it was, I'm looking at, I'm going, okay, Kendrick's on his way to the Hall of Fame. Okay. All the other ones, Blige is there, Dre is there, Eminem is there, Snoop is there, and I'm going 50. And I understand the ties to Eminem and to Dre, but it was like, I just wish you would have gone a little bit more Godfatherish or Godmotherish, and you would have gone and bring me an MC Light or go back and bring me something that is royalty from back in the past or something like Fitty. I love Fitty's music. I enjoy it, all that. but he ain't ever going to the Hall of Fame, and he doesn't belong with those guys. I just wish you would have gone with somebody a little bit bigger at that
You know,
moment. You know,
it's funny that
Eric
you
Rakim or something that was part of the core of rap or something. You know, I just wish it would
it's
have been.
funny like
Except that.
that you say that about 50. A friend of mine told me, you know, we were talking about our favorite rappers, like our top fives. And he put 50 in his top five. And he was like, I know he might not be the best, but he's like my favorite. And I was like, yeah, you know, like when 50 was hot, 50 was
Fun.
it, man.
It's fun.
That's one of the, you know, that's right up there with like late 20 or late 2000s Lil Wayne, as far as like, and late 2000s Kanye, as far as like dominance when they're on top. The problem is his
Wait a
songs
minute.
don't
Hold on a second.
necessarily have
Fitty or
staying power.
DMX? Fitty or DMX?
Oh man, see, I'm gonna age myself when I say 50 at the top. Like at
You
his peak,
50?
at his peak,
I'm taking
50.
DMX.
Staying power, DMX. That was the problem with 50 Cent. His songs don't have staying power. That
Right.
was the first time I've
He's
heard in the
Nelly.
club in like
He's
15
Nelly.
years.
He's Nelly, dude.
Like,
It's pop rap is the way I kind of look at his music. It's pop rap, whereas the other rap is like, I don't know, dude. It's just like it's part of the fabric of the foundation, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Those people that you saw
well,
up there, they're like the fabric of the foundation of that music. Mary on the R&B side, and the rest of them on the rap side. I don't put 50 in there, bro. I just don't.
yeah, I think that's just his. That's you know, that's just his tie into his tie into Aftermath, I guess. But like
And as I told you
that's
yesterday, he's been hanging out in the drive-through with me, not in the club. Because you tweeted out yesterday,
oh,
I haven't heard in the club in 15 years. All right.
hey, hold on. We do have to. We got to talk about one of your takes on Twitter. Oh, we got to talk about the Odell take, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
no way are we blaming. First of all, the Rams don't.
I didn't blame anything. I didn't blame
Odell.
it. I said this proves you don't make a big commitment to this guy. He's no longer a number one. He's not reliable. His body breaks down. He hasn't been an impact receiver since 2016. That's when he had the catches, the yards, and the touchdowns. Since then, he's had some yards, but not the touchdowns. His touchdown totals since 2016 are nothing. They're pedestrian.
Well,
and I know he made a couple of plays. All I meant with my statement is he's a complimentary guy. That's all he is. He's no longer a franchise player. And you'd be dumb to make a long-term commitment or big commitment to that guy ever. That's my point. That's it.
To be fair, he has more touchdowns in his time with the Rams than he did his 3 seasons with the Browns, and I blame that on franchise incompetence. I blame that on the Browns. Odell is still a dude. I don't know if he is Giants Odell anymore, but we can't act like he's washed.
That's my point.
I don't think he's washed up. I think he is.
I didn't say he was washed up.
Level 2. I think he's a high level 2. And before, I don't know if there's any update about his knee. If it doesn't require surgery, then which I assume it does. But if it doesn't require surgery in a lengthy time recovery period, then I would love for him to get paid like a high level 2
from 2017 on. 3, 6, 4, 3, 5. Those are his touchdown totals. That's it. It's and his yards 302, 1052, 1035, 319, and 537. In 2014, 15, and 16, 91 catches, 1305, 12. 96, 1450, 13. 101, 1367, and 10. That's when he was a guy.
Right.
He's no longer been that guy. And by the way, this whole thing about, I know he has had many quarterbacks and all that lately and all that, but there's a guy that got passed up on the Hall of Fame that rarely ever played with any kind of quarterback, and he was as special as they get in Andre Johnson. So I've watched the guys that are great have to deal with crappy quarterbacks and still be pros through and through. That's Andre
Mm.
Johnson. That's why I'm just saying, when I saw him break down yesterday, it just proves to me that he's not a guy that you make a commitment to. He's a complimentary guy at this point. He's no longer that guy you saw from 14 to 16. That's my point.
No,
With
but
that.
I can't blame him for. I don't want to blame him for getting hurt.
Put it
And
this way. Put it this way.
and
If the
it's
Dolphins
allegedly.
sign him to be next to Waddle, I will rip the Dolphins mercifully. Okay? I will rip everybody in that organization to a point that I will tear down that organization if they sign a bum like that to a long-term deal. That's it. That's the way I look at it. He's got talent, but, all we do is make excuses for this guy every year. And I just don't see him holding up.
It's sad to see, man, because I really think he would have that he had rebuilt his value during his time in LA. And somebody was gonna sign him.
Yeah, but his time in LA is like this. He hasn't been tested through adversity again. We don't know how he's going to act. I mean, that's the problem also in this society. We're so quick to give people the third and fourth and fifth chance when they haven't even earned it yet. I mean, his time in LA is, 3 trips to the bathroom for a normal male human being. He hasn't been there long enough.
But he was hooping. He was hooping. He was balling in LA, especially on a team with Cooper Kupp on it already. I mean, that just showed. Like you said, he's a high level 2 right now, with the opportunity to be a 1 on any given week.
You would pay him for a high level 2 in a long term.
I gotta see what's going on with the knee. If he got through yesterday healthy, then yes, I wouldn't have any problem doing that.
Oh, I would. I would have a big problem giving any kind of a signing bonus to that guy. Oh God, that would be too many injuries, too much baggage over the years. I'd go for somebody that maybe might be a little bit more durable overall, but we'll see. All right, what are you working on ESPN so folks can check you out, my friend?
So that my sit down with Mike McDaniel. I don't know if I'm ever gonna post the entire clip anywhere because it's kind of long, but I'm basically, there's a few things from it that I'm writing about, including his plan on offense, and that's going to be coming. That's going to be dropping this week. I'll drop the clip on Twitter along with it. I think we've got some clips on ESPN.com as well for it. But yeah, man, I see people every time I post one, I see people say, "Hey, where's the full? Where's the whole thing?" And it's like, you really want to watch me just sit and talk with them for 25, 30 minutes?
Yes, but here's the thing. I know what you're also doing, dude. Don't lie to me now. Okay, now that you have a human being, see, you would have posted the whole thing with Flo and all the ums, because he wouldn't have given you jack in 5 or 10 minutes that you would have talked to him. But this guy gave you so much that you can write some stuff about it, save some, write some for later. That's how this guy is going to be, because he's like Riley. He's like one of these guys that is going to give you a little bit more. You might be able to save some for another story later on. That's probably what you guys are doing. Stashing some.
Look, man, this is how the game is, man. Like it's a long off season. All right. It's a long off season with not a whole lot of access. The ability to get the head coach like that for however long is invaluable. So
what people don't realize in your job, you're writing another article about something, and then you realize that there's actually a part of one of the interviews that actually goes with what you're writing now. And these are things that, God bless you, man, for all of you out there on the beat now. You actually have a human being that's actually going to fill your notebook and give you stuff, and now we get to read stuff, which is really cool. We actually get to read about insight and things like that. It's going to be fun to actually have like a human being being covered now for the Miami Dolphins. I'm telling you, it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be different, man.
No doubt. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ, and you can get the edge on your Miami Dolphins. Marcel, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Of course, man. See you Thursday.
You got it. There's Marcel giving you the edge.